Hi, my name is Kevin McDonald, and I'm declaring my independence. Independence from what? Why, negative thoughts and energy, of course. Chief among them, hate, division, and fear. You see, I know that we're all one, and together we can solve any problem, save our planet and each other. Please, join me as we come together as one and choose a better way to be. So now, let's begin with my independence report. And welcome, everybody, to another episode of My Independence Report. I cannot believe that May is over already. Seems like Christmas just got here and went. And this is Memorial Day. So if you or a loved one served our country, I want to thank you very much from the bottom of my heart that you did an awesome thing for all of us, and we really, really appreciate it. So having said that, we have got we've got a wonderful show for you today. And I got to tell you, Allyson Roberts is with us, and we're going to talk about what she does, which is really unique and pretty awesome. So, Allyson, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you. I'm really good. I'm so happy to be here. And you're right, it's Memorial Day. So, I'm working today, but not as hard as I normally work. So, yeah. So here we are.
I know. I had to grab you when you were available because your availability is rather limited.
It is.
You're a very busy person. So let's talk about you a little bit. The first thing I have to ask you is, how long ago did you pick up Napoleon Hill's book?
I was 19 and I'm 56. So.
No, you can't be 56.
I am.
Boy, I tell you, that auto shop really does auto shop or whatever it is. No, I'm kidding. You look awesome.
Thank you. I credit my parents because they both my dad, my father just passed away, but everybody thought he was like 70 and he was 91. And my mother's in her 80s and everyone thinks she's like 60. So I get it from them.
Good genes.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, you picked the right people to be born to, so that
I did,
because you got a long time to go, because you are very uplifting and you're very busy and you're helping a lot of people, and that's a really cool thing, and why I'm happy to have you on the podcast. Wasn't always that way though, was it? It started out rather difficultly, and tell us about that part.
Yeah. So speaking of my parents, I am the product actually of an affair. And so, yeah. So, my parents were my adopted dad, and my mother, needless to say, when I came along,
surprise.
Yeah. And surprise and just like, here's proof that we're really messed up.
What's interesting about that is, in those days, they kept that stuff real hush-hush.
Yep. Especially considering that my biological father was the minister of one of the largest churches in Atlanta, Georgia at the time. So yeah, to keep it hush hush is an understatement.
That's newspaper material right there.
It actually did make the newspaper.
So you were born and you were famous right from the get-go.
Right. Yep. Right from the start. Yep.
So it started with an affair, but at one point, I read in your bio that you were pregnant, homeless, living in your car.
Yes.
That must have been a horrific moment in time.
Yeah, Kevin, it was. So, and it's crazy how the whole thing just kind of happened. And I know that people, don't think that homelessness can just happen, but it really can just kind of happen. So I was engaged to be married. I failed a pregnancy test, and I told my fiance that I was pregnant, and he was overjoyed. Like, we celebrated, we were jumping up and down and so happy. But his parents had a completely different perspective on my pregnancy. So his father pulled me aside and gave me a check and told me to go and have an abortion. And listen, I am not one of these like pro-lifer crazy people. I believe, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but there are some people who believe like no abortion no matter what. But our baby was conceived out of love, and I just couldn't do it, you know. So I went to the clinic, and I almost went through with it, and at the very last minute, I was like, "This is crazy. I can't do this." And so I left there, and I wasn't honest, and I told my fiance that I had gone through with the abortion, which was wrong. And then, like 2 weeks later, the morning sickness kicked in, and I was like throwing up. And he was like, I knew that you didn't go through with it because you're not upset enough. So he wasn't upset even. I mean, he was not upset with me for lying. He was not upset with me about anything. But he told his dad again. And the second time he told his father, I was at school, I was in college, and I came home to change the locks.
Oh. Well, now, so you grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, is that right?
I did.
That's that. Atlanta, Georgia, right there is a bastion of Christianity and also conservatism, and they don't take kindly to that sort of thing at all. And they're not very loving and very forgiving about that kind of thing. So
no,
that must have been just. My heart goes out to you.
Thank you.
I'm glad that we can fast forward 30 years later to where you are today, because I believe that every moment of our life is pivotal in the next moment in our life. And if you hadn't had that, you might not be where you are today.
Well, and what's crazy, Kevin, is that I went from, my fiance and I's house. I left there and I went back home to my mother's house. And again, I didn't tell her that I was pregnant until after a month or so. And she did the exact same thing to me. She changed the locks. I know. So I had it happen twice to me within like a month and a half span of time. So it was January. It was freezing. People don't think that Atlanta gets cold, but it does. It gets very, very cold.
At night, it gets really
even sometimes during the day. I mean, like we can have, our highs can be, under freezing sometimes. So I sat in my mom's driveway in my 1978 Volkswagen Beetle, and I was like, okay, God, what's the deal? This is like, I don't understand. If you want me to go and have an abortion, you got to like give me, I mean, is this like a sign? Am I supposed to go and like get rid of this pregnancy? I don't understand. Like I was talking out loud, like saying all this in my car. Like, I don't understand what's happening. And I just felt this voice inside of me, and the voice just said, Allyson, just drive back to school. So I drove back to school, and I was going to Georgia State at the time, and I pulled into parking garage and parked my Volkswagen and sat there and was just like, okay. And then I just heard, go to sleep, just go to sleep. And so for 3 weeks, I lived in my car, and every single morning I would just say, what now? Go to school, go to class. And then at the end of the day, what now? Go back to your car, go to sleep. And one of my professors had given me Think and Grow Rich. So every night in my car, I was reading the book. It's Napoleon Hill. And for those of you who aren't familiar, first of all, you need to get the book and read it. It will change your life. And secondly, it's all about mindset. And so I would just picture myself warm and loved and cared for. And on the night that I was rescued from my car. I really was giving up. I mean, I was just like, God, I can't. I mean, I was hungry. I was freezing. I was really pregnant. I was just like, I can't do this much longer. I don't know what I'm going to do. And not much longer after that, maybe 30 minutes, there was a knock on my window, and it was my professor. And he was just like, Allyson, I've told my wife about you. I figured out that you're living in your car. You need to follow me home. And I was like, I can't follow you. I don't have any gas in my car. So he put me in his truck and off we went. And I'm just going to tell you, like, Kevin, I don't know if you believe in humans that are like just better than normal, but he was one of those people. He was just better than normal.
A couple things. First of all, I can't imagine sleeping in a VW Bug.
Oh, it's just it wasn't a bus. It was a car.
Yeah.
It was a Beetle. Yeah.
Just a little Beetle there.
Yeah. Little Beetle. Yeah.
Probably wasn't even the Super Beetle. So it was just the little Beetle. And also being, my wife had a couple of boys. So I know that when you're 8 months pregnant, that you have to use the restroom a lot because your bladder's the size of a pea now. And stuff. So, and not having facilities and that must have been just awful, just horrible for you.
Yeah. So by the time that he got me out of the car, I was 4 months pregnant, but you still have to pee a lot. I mean, even at 4 months pregnant, you have to pee a lot. And it was really uncomfortable. And, you know, just the biggest thing that I can say about it is that, you know, the shame that comes with living in your car.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's just a lot of shame. It's like, wow, how I kept asking, like every day I would ask myself, like, how in the world did I end up in this situation? Like, I just couldn't wrap my brain around the hatred and the ugliness, you know, of two people that, well, my mom was in a whole nother bag of potato chips, but my fiance and I were like, we had been friends first before we became engaged. And I was like, you know, this man that I was going to marry and spend the rest of my life with just banished me to homelessness. Like I just couldn't wrap my brain around it.
You know, there are, yeah, you're right. To answer your previous question, they're right. There are angels among us. There are people that it pulls at their soul to not do the right thing.
Right.
And so they do the right thing because it's important for them to do it. And
Yeah.
God, that man was there for you.
Oh my gosh. And his wife too. I mean, both of them were incredible. And the coolest part, there's a lot of cool parts to the story, but one of the things that kind of blows my mind is, and I know that this happened to me because, you know, God uses me every single day now to help people understand how powerful we are. But in that car, I kept imagining, for whatever reason, curtains with tiny little flowers on them. And when the professor and his wife opened their guest bedroom door, there were curtains with little
Tiny
flowers on them.
Yes, indeed. It was ordained. It was, and it turned out to be the perfect thing. So you went through the pregnancy and you had the baby. What did you have?
I had a boy. I had a son, and he was born physically handicapped, which was really difficult. And it took the doctors a lot of convincing me that I didn't do anything wrong and that being homeless and living in my car was not what caused his deformity. But he's had 17 surgeries.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. But I had already made the decision to place him for adoption because I was just in no position to be a mom at that point. But it was a closed adoption. And I I had to accept the fact that I was never going to see him again. So I was in my hospital room the night before I was supposed to sign all the papers, and then one of the nurses came in and sat down with me, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't leave him. And so she was like, well, let's talk about this. Like, where are you going to live? How are you going to feed him? And she walked me through it again. I was like, you're right. But after she left my room, I was just, I got down on the floor. I was just sitting in the corner looking up at the ceiling, and I was just like, God, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I just felt in my spirit that I needed to just go through with the adoption. And that same voice that was just like, just get in the car, just drive back to school. I heard, if you sign the papers, you'll see him again. And this was a closed adoption in 1985. Like, there was no like sending pictures or even knowing first names or anything. So I signed the papers and I went through with the adoption. And then 24 years later, that same voice woke me up in the middle of the night and was like, Allyson, you need to find him. It's time. So I contacted the adoption agency, and, they weren't trying to talk me out of it, but she kept saying, you are going to be really disappointed. It's going to take like so many years. And, are you sure that you want to go through with this? And I was like, I'm positive that I want to go through with this. And that the very next day, she called me, and we ended up faxing our paperwork in at the exact same time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Who was the little voice who kept bothering you?
I think that it's God. I really do.
I agree.
I believe very much in, higher powers, and that we have, an invisible force, an invisible team that is there to help us and guide us and walk us through our next step. There's so many distractions that sometimes I know a lot of people have a really hard time tapping into it. I also believe that a lot of people's pain keeps them from tapping in to, a lot of people think, well, if there's God, then why do bad things happen and all of that thing? And it's because we're not robots, we're people, and we have free will, and we can do whatever we want. But that's a whole nother conversation. But I definitely believe it's God, Kevin, for sure.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. And I also agree that we have a whole team of people on the other side that are there specifically to work with us and to help us through. And I think that when you were going through that period in time, it was so important for them to support you that they actually broke through the veil a little bit so that you could actually hear them through all of the grief and through all of the troubles that you were in. And because they knew, based upon recent evidence, that you were going to do something special, and they wanted you to do that something special with your life.
Yeah. And, I really believe that wholeheartedly. You can see me getting emotional.
I'm emotional. Your story is amazing.
Yeah, I think that, people ask, I'm asked a lot, like, why me? And, why do I think that God chose me and all that kind of stuff to do this work? I don't know. That's my honest, I think that because I'm willing, I think we have to be willing first. I have been intuitive my whole life. Growing up in my household was extremely violent, and my mom was a horrible abuser, and my adopted dad was like not emotionally available for me, and so I just think that I was willing to have helpers. And, when I was like 2 and 3 and 4 years old, I remember visually seeing angels. I could actually see them.
Yep, that when you're that age, you haven't had the amnesia set in completely, and you can
Right.
still feel the other side, and you still have that connection there because it wasn't that long ago that you were there, and so
Right.
those folks are all together with you, and then for some reason about the age of 5, it tends to fade a little bit, which is really too bad. I wish it would stay, but you're intuitive, and so you felt them and you felt the love that you weren't getting at home. They provided you with the love that you needed.
Yeah. And sanity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sanity was the big thing because I'm so sensitive. I have such a sensitive heart and soul. And so I really do believe I would have gone insane had I not had the spiritual help that I had.
Awesome. So let's fast forward. When did you decide after this episode? When did you decide that you were going to become a speaker and an emotional coach and a spiritual advisor and all of the things that you've become? Did that kind of set you on the path?
It did set me on the path for sure. And I think being a survivor of childhood abuse, it set me definitely on the path because I did come out of it. I started therapy as soon as my son was conceived. And as soon as I got out of that car, it was a requirement for the adoption agency. But I'm really, really glad that it was because, I had a spiritual therapist, not religious, but spiritual therapist, which was unheard of back in the 80s for a therapist to be talking about, fairies and angels and all this stuff. But, I think either she was trying to make sure that that I felt safe or something, but she called me a unicorn. And, I think that it was during that time when I was like, wow, first of all, she made me see that I wasn't alone. There's 18 million child abuse survivors in the United States alone. That doesn't even count other countries. And so, to know that there's 17,999,999 other people who experienced something of what I did on some level, and that I could help them, and that's what that was the driving force then. It's my driving force now. It's my driving force every single day. It gets me out of bed in the morning. So yeah.
I have to say the excitement of helping people, which is what this podcast really is at its fundamental core. What it's all about is for bringing people like you to these people so that they can, if we can together, you and I, change one person's life,
yep,
then this hour has been worth it. And as many times as it's going to be viewed over time, we will have an impact, a positive impact on the lives of people. So I get where you're coming from. It is the most important work that we have to do.
It is.
Help each other.
I mean, it absolutely is, Kevin, because here's the thing. Like, so many people think that they are their circumstances, right, and they label themselves. And I labeled myself. I actually fell prey to that label too, of like, survivor of child abuse. That's a heavy label, to carry around, and you can't pivot too much when you're carrying that label around. I mean, your mindset will make you think that, you're just not worthy to have much of anything. So if, what I can say to anyone that's watching right now or the replay later is that, you are not your pain. And anything that you've been through, I promise you, it's only made you strong and capable. And, you can turn that into power. And it's a fantastic, amazing journey to go on when you go in that direction.
It is. And people like you are the ones that are driving the goodness in the world in a positive direction. And I personally would like to thank you very much for the work that you do.
Oh, you're welcome. You're so welcome.
It is so awesome. Now you are a transformational coach. If we were to label your gifts and what you do, how would you describe yourself?
I am a cognitive behavioral expert who also incorporates spirituality.
I wish I could say that. That cognitive, but any event. So you've also got this thing. Hold on just a second. This caught my eye, and I thought it was really wonderful that your system of personalized science,
Yes,
of brain work and spirituality. Discuss that. The personalized science. What is that?
yeah. So there's a science to our brain, obviously. So we have two main sections of our brain that are operating at all times, and it's the subconscious and the conscious. We think 65,000 thoughts a day. It's crazy.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, and only 3% of them are conscious thoughts.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So subconsciously, that kind of is driving the boat a little bit.
it's driving the boat, right? And so the subconscious brain only knows the past, and it only can draw from the past. The conscious brain is the only part of our brain that is aware of the future and aware of the present. So every decision that we make, if we're not being cognitive about it, conscious about it, then we're just repeating the past over and over and over again.
So that's why some women who get a divorce marry the same guy in a different suit over and over and over again, because they can't get past their past.
Right. And men too.
Men too.
Yes. For men, though, a lot of it is like job.
Yes.
So a man will, get into a job, be really excited about it, 8 months in or 12 months in, realize that it's not feeding them. And so instead of trying to change this, they change jobs. And then they're 8 to 12 months later, it's the same situation all over again. Instead of trying to fix this, they change jobs. So for women, it's men usually, and for men, it's money usually.
And I'm laughing because I have a close relative who will go nameless that does that incessantly. It's like, yep. I'm excited, Dad. It's a great job. Oh, I just said who he is. Anyway, I'm excited, Dad. It's a great job, and I'm looking forward to it. And 8 to 12 months in, it's like, I hate my boss. Yep. And then I'm going to leave and do something. And it's like you got to take a stand and be happy where you are, or you're never going to be happy.
Right. You have to fix it, though.
Yes. How do you fix it?
Well, you fix it through. So we'll go through this. We have time. So
we got lots of time.
Yeah. So cognitive behavior is an outside circumstance happens, and then you have a thought, which leads to a feeling, which leads to an action, which gives you your result.
Yep.
That's how the brain works. It works with everything from gasoline to cheeseburgers to women. It works the exact same way. So what I teach is to heal the pain that your subconscious mind is making the decisions from. Because what your subconscious mind believes is that if you do it a different way, you'll get a different result. This is why people join different gyms and go on different diets and date different people and work at different places, because the subconscious brain actually believes that you can just do it differently. If you do it different, you're going to get a different result. Well, we know that that's not true. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, is insanity. So I teach people how to be sane. And the way to be sane is to heal your past so that your current decisions that you're making are conscious, awake ones. That's what I teach. And then that's the science part. And then the spirituality part is that if you just do the science, life can be it can become very robotic and extremely stressful.
Right.
So that's why I incorporate the spiritual part of it. And I don't care if this is someone's higher power. To me, I don't care if it's the ink in your pen or Jesus or Buddha or Mother Teresa. I don't care who your higher power is. But I do teach to start tapping into something that is greater than ourselves. Because when we're having a really difficult time, we won't believe in the magic if we're not tapped into it.
You're right. You have to believe. You got to believe in something.
Something.
Life would be so awful
Awful.
if you didn't believe in anything, and if you thought everything was just a random act, and you had no control, and you had no self control, or no, your free will, and it's just, my life sucks, and it's going to suck till the day I die.
Yep.
That's just a hell of a way to live.
It's horrible. It's just sad.
Yeah, it is. It is, and a lot of that is driven by our subconscious. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when it's driven by those little voices, I call them the stories that we create.
Yeah.
We create these stories based upon what we consider to be evidence, which is the past. I carried around with me for a long time something that a 6-year-old boy said to me one time, and I took it as truth. And then I had to analyze it and go, he's a 6-year-old boy. What the hell does he know?
Right, exactly.
But a lot of people they'll disassociate with where it came from, but they just take what was said, and like in your case, your mother was abusive, your stepfather was distant, and so you took those two facts that you weren't loved.
Right. Oh, for sure. 10,000%.
And
lovable. Or lovable.
That was going to say, yeah. And so for a lot of people, that leads to bad relationships, bad marriages, bad work environments, so you got to clean all that stuff up, right?
You do. You have to sit with your pain. And a lot of people that work with me, so I have a 6-month coaching program, and people are like, Allyson, you should just turn it into a year, because people they come in and then they just stay. But they, when they first come in, everybody wants like the quick fix. Just give me the new mindset, Allyson. And I'm like, whoa, you got to sit with your pain. And they're like, no, don't make me.
Not pain. Oh no. It's kind of like the Spanish Inquisition that you're down in the dungeon. But
yeah, but here's the thing. You're walking in the pain anyway. You're just not facing it. And so it's incredible. Like, these people are hurting. You're hurting every single day anyway. So if you don't ever face it, you're just going to keep hurting every single day anyway. So I teach people how to sit with their pain and face their pain. And then a week later, that pain it's not cured, but it's so much better.
Is that because as they sit in their pain and they realize that some of it's real, but a lot of it isn't?
Right. Some of it's real. A lot of it isn't. People will realize that, it's older than their great-great-grandmother's underwear. And, how is it serving them?
Now there's a visual for you. You're right. And a lot of it is about our, when we're growing up as kids and what was told to us. I still carry around stuff that was told to me as a kid. And it's hard. It's hard to get through it. But once you do, you can then lead the life that you were destined to lead. And that's where the spirituality comes in, isn't it?
It is where the spirituality comes in. It's also where the forgiveness comes in,
Oh
because
yeah,
you can't just forgive.
that's the other F word.
Yeah, the other F word. You cannot just forgive. And I'm sorry, there may be people on here who disagree with me, but spend some time with me and you'll start to understand what I'm talking about. But forgiveness is cognitive. And what I mean by that is that you have to go through an entire process of forgiveness. It's not just, oh, you're forgiven. It's a process of forgiving. And it's deep. It's a deep journey to do that. But gosh, I mean, once people actually go through the cognitive process and they've actually really forgiven someone and not just blowing smoke out of their mouth, then they're free. They're free.
And they don't carry around that ball and chain that has been they've been
Right.
carrying around for maybe years.
Right. And they don't repeat the patterns.
And they can set, isn't it, do you find that your clientele, when they get to a certain point and their eyes open up and suddenly it's a moment of clarity and a moment of true freedom, and then they realize they can do anything that they want?
Yes. Yes.
And that has got to be the most satisfying thing in the world, is to watch people go through that process.
Yeah. I mean, I've had clients lose 100 pounds. I've had clients leave corporate America that thought that they would never leave corporate America. I've had people get married who never ever thought that they would find love again. I've had single women, um, that couldn't find love, just decide that that God had a different mission for them other than to get married and have kids. And now they have these big things going on, these big nonprofits and these big missions, and found love and got married. But it's like, if they hadn't done the big thing first, though, it wouldn't have led them to like their true love and all that. So it's just incredible to watch people transform. That's what it is. It's a transformative journey of just like, you were one place and believed that you were always going to be in that place. And then you do the work and you end up in a completely different place that you never thought you would be able to experience. It's so fun.
I can only imagine the how heartwarming it is for you, because this is your passion. This is you pour every ounce of energy that you have into it, and you do it, and the money, I imagine, is secondary. It's the moment in time, and the things that you create, and how you're able to help people live more authentically, and just to live better. You are awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're,
I
you're,
accept and receive. I
we,
accept and receive.
we need to talk about that, because that is an important piece of your transformation, is when somebody says, "Oh, you're really cool." "Oh no, I'm not. I've got it. I did." And you poo-poo it, and you don't accept it.
Right.
Then if you don't accept it, you can't have it.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. 10,000% true.
So if you need to have enough faith in yourself to accept who you are, and that it's okay,
Yeah.
and it's going to be fine. But people need someone like you to verify it and to validate it for them, so that they can get rid of the fear about making those changes, because fear is a big part of it, isn't it?
Yeah. And I don't think that we ever get rid of it. I just think that we repackage it.
And we can control it better.
Yeah, we control it, and we understand that it's just part of the process. Because here's the thing, our brain hates change. That's why lottery winners go back to being poor. It's because their brain can't wrap around. That's why people lose weight, but if they don't do the mindset work, they gain it all back again and then some. It's why people, will do all these incredible things, but if they're not doing the work so that their brain can catch up to what they're doing, the brain will always take them back to the capacity that it can handle. And
You know,
so,
oh, go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead. So I was just going to say that, fear is always there. But I teach people how to recognize it as inspired fear or just the fear that has always been there.
It's interesting that you say that, because this gastric bypass surgery, I've had like 5 or 6 or 7 people that I know that have had that surgery.
Mm-hmm.
They lost 100 pounds.
Yep.
And then I see them 2 years later and they've picked up 120 pounds.
Yep.
Even though because it's in their mind that they can't be skinny. And then there are other people that no matter how skinny you are, you're still fat.
Right.
Because of the mindset that they have.
Right.
We are a screwed up species, you know that.
Well, it's tribal. Shame is a human condition, and if you've ever listened to Brene Brown, she explains it really, really well. Shame is the definition of shame is that there's innately something wrong with us. Well, we did that. We did that to ourselves. When we were in tribes, when we were cave people, because if you left the tribe, you died.
Right. Or if they kicked you out.
Right. Or if they kicked you out, you died. Right. So shame was the ingredient that for sure worked.
I'm going to say something a little non-politically correct here, and I also believe that that a lot of religious organizations use the same tactic to keep everybody in line.
Yes. Yeah. Politics too. Politics, shame too. Shame is powerful. Shame is a powerful, powerful tool to use. And so just imagine that, you're walking around every day, and if you're not doing mind work, 63,000 of the thoughts that you're thinking are shame-based. You're so stupid. You're so stupid. You can't do that. That's the dumbest thing you've ever done. Don't look in the mirror. You have wrinkles. Oh my God, there's too much fat on your booty. Oh, you're not good enough for him. You're not good enough for her. Don't go to the boss. Don't ask for a raise. You'll never get, all of the thoughts that just are automatic because, your reptilian's job is to keep you alive and to keep you safe. And so it's shaming you so that you don't leave. It's shaming you so that you don't change, so that you don't leave your life, because your brain doesn't know how to keep you alive if you're any different. So you've got to do the brain work. I can't drive that home enough.
I have an associate, and we recently just started working together, and I made a comment to her, and she said, well, sometimes I'm just so stupid. And I looked at her and I said, I never want to hear that word come out of your mouth again about you, because thoughts become actions, become reality.
Yes.
And if you believe you're stupid, guess what?
Yes.
Everybody's going to confirm that for you.
Yep.
If you believe you're smart, everybody's going to confirm that too.
Yes. It is 10,000% true.
And it's amazing how the icky part is, those thoughts didn't generate with her. They generated from a conversation or something that somebody told her that at one point in time.
For sure.
And
or they inferred it.
Yes.
Or they didn't say what she needed them to say, so she made it up in her own head. Yeah.
We're capable of amazing things.
We're powerful.
But we can be powerful in a positive way, and we can be powerful in a negative way.
Absolutely.
And more people, unfortunately, I believe more people feel like it's easier to be positive or powerful in a negative way, and to gossip and to talk badly about other people and to hate and have division. And oddly, that's kind of the subtitle of the show. Hate, division, and fear. We need to get rid of all of that. And you're doing that in your work. And because those things are very detrimental to us as a species.
They are.
And so it's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. And, it's one of the things that I was thinking about when you were talking about this woman is, we will seek others too. Like our brain seeks accomplices. And this is why groups are so powerful too, is because we seek those people who are like us, who are like-minded. So I tell people all the time, like the more work like this that you can do, and you start breaking cycles, like with your kids, so that they can break cycles with their kids and so on. We can change the future of our world. But we certainly can't do it if we're walking around in shame and guilt and hatred and prejudice and all of those things. Like that's not going to change the world for a better, it's going to change the world, but not in the direction we want to go.
No. So do you subscribe to the 7-generation theory? That
Yes.
And describe that for our audience.
So the 7-generation theory is that, the original, quote unquote sins, behaviors of the father, carry down. And then the 8th generation is supposedly, the chain breaker of all of that. While I do believe that's true, I've also seen where it's gone past 7 generations, and I've seen where it's been broken before it should have or was supposed to. And that is all definitely with mindset, for sure.
So when we're talking about, and we've talked about child abuse. So when we talk about child abuse and we talk about a child being abused, that child tends to grow up and then abuses the next generation, on and on and on, and it can transcend 7 generations. But somebody's got to consciously break the pattern.
Yeah.
And that's
and the beauty of it is that I broke the cycle. My sister broke the cycle. My other sister broke the cycle, and my brother broke the cycle. So it's it can be done. It's it takes work though. I mean, I think that sometimes people think that, oh, it'll just happen. It doesn't just happen. Everything takes conscious effort.
So you've got to rally the 3% of your conscious thoughts into a positive direction and quiet the 68,000 that are in the background. That's hard.
Learn a new language for them. Yeah. They don't get quiet. They just don't trigger you anymore with this work. They're still there. You'll hear something like, "Ooh, your booty looks big in those jeans," or whatever. And you'll say, "Yeah, but some people like that," and you'll believe it. And so it's, my work is not just like walking around stating a bunch of affirmations, because affirmations don't work unless you believe them. So my work literally changes minds.
Because it has to, in order to be successful.
Yes.
And you're as successful as you can be because of that. I have to say, I've been sitting here looking at you and the sign behind you, and you've got one of my favorite sayings in the world by the Gospel according to Paul McCartney, which is "Let it be."
Let it be.
It's that's truly amazing. I firmly believe that you just have to just let it be and enjoy the ride and watch it unfold, because if you believe it's gonna unfold well, it will. If you believe it's gonna be, go ahead.
Yeah, and let it be for me is just like, stay in your own lane. Mind your own business. If the neighbor is, doing something and you don't like it, if it's not breaking the law or hurting animals or people, then just let it be for an hour or two or three or four and just see what happens. But so many of us, Kevin, do not know how to stay in our own lane.
No. See, it's not nearly as much fun to stay in your own lane as it is to talk badly about everybody else. Did you see what Rose did? Did you see what she was wearing? Oh my God, whatever.
Yes, exactly.
It is. So, Allyson, somebody is going to want to work with you. How do they get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me is to go to my website, which is AllysonRoberts.com. The other way that they can experience me face to face is I'm holding a live event in October.
Cool.
It's virtual or in person. So it was just going to be in person. And then I was like, I know some people are still uncomfortable with the whole crowd COVID thing. So we added a virtual option. And they can go to behindthepowerevent.com. And I would love to see them there.
I love that. Behindthepower.com.
Behind the Power Event.
Behind the Power Event. We'll put that on the podcast as well as the YouTube so that whoever needs that. And I'm also a firm believer that just like you discovered Napoleon Hill, for me, it was a guy by the name of Dr. Michael Newton, and he was a hypnotherapist. But there are things and there are people that are going to reach out to you. So this podcast is going to find its way to who needs it, and that's my fervent belief that this podcast will find its way to somebody that is saying, I suck and terrible. I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to get out of it.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah, it does. Because
I mean, like literally hurts me. Yeah.
Well, and one of the things you don't know about me is prior to doing this, I was a city bus driver for 11 years.
Oh, wow.
Funny thing was, I could never get anybody. I said, the bus driving is not a bad job, and I couldn't ever get anybody to believe that. But you see some of the most horrific things of what humans are capable of doing to not only each other but to themselves, and it is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
To watch all of that, because it's terrible.
It is.
And you can't. There are people. Now, let me ask you: do you find that there are people that you just can't reach?
Yeah, I mean, the people that I work with, like the ideal person that I work with, is someone whose life looks amazing on paper, but they are miserable. They're every morning they feel the very first thing that they say when they wake up, is, oh God, or oh no, or, expletive. So, that's, there's something missing, and they have a lot of anxiety. They have a lot of fear. They're afraid to make changes in their lives. They're just riddled with, everything that's bad, but everyone thinks they're great, and they walk around saying, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm great, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm great, I'm fine. But they feel like a complete, fraud. I cannot reach the people who want to be rescued. Those are the unreachable people, the people that want me to give them a pill or wave a magic wand over their head. I can't reach people who aren't willing to do the work.
You have to do the work, and
do it.
That is so true. There are lots of folks that would like to have a pill, and so just make me better, just make it better for me. But it's a process, isn't it?
It's a process, yes.
And it takes a long time to change your mindset. Because I still get negative thoughts about myself and stuff, but now I analyze them and I say, no, that's probably not true, because I couldn't do what I'm doing if I didn't believe that what I was doing was right.
Yeah.
and was capable of making a difference. It's just amazing. So let's go through your information again. I want to make sure that everybody is there in October, right?
Yeah, October. It's behindthepowerevent.com. And, you can find how to reach me if you go to that website as well. There's a way to reach me through that website.
But also AllysonRoberts.com too, right?
Yes, sir.
And very good. And I've been through the website, and there's a way to contact her, and you can find out how to work with her and the programs that she operates. And I just have to say for myself and for you that are listening, if you don't feel like if when you wake up every morning, you're not excited about that day's going to bring, and you're not excited about life, because what you said about people that put on the facade of everything's okay and I'm great and stuff like that. I have had people like that in my life that have committed suicide.
Yeah.
And then we're sitting there going, I don't know. I didn't see anything wrong. Did you see anything wrong? No, he seemed fine to me. He was, but they're in such a level of pain underneath all of that they can't get out of it. And that's, if you are in that place, you need to go to AllysonRoberts.com, because she can help you live, or if you know somebody that's in that level of pain, she can help you help yourself. Can't fix it, but she can give you the tools that the blueprint on how you can fix it yourself, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Allyson, I got to tell you, this has been one of the most fun interviews, the best time I've had in a very long time.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so happy. I really enjoyed my time with you. It was fun, and just I can tell that you operate from your heart space. That's really uplifting.
I do, and I at least I try to and stuff. But what makes me so, what's really turns my boat, if you will, or my crank or whatever, is that we're doing this today. This is the 31st of May, and in 2 years, this is going to be, somebody's going to tune into this, and it's going to change their life. And neither you nor I are going to. Well, you will, because they're going to contact you. But
yeah, and I'm not going anywhere, so I'll be around. If this is 2023, I'm still here. I'm still doing it.
Exactly, and I won't know about them or know of them, but I know that it will change their life, and that I know that for a fact, because years ago I was doing, on the last day that I did a particular radio show, I had to quit because, quite frankly, I ran out of money, and this is my favorite story of all time, and so I did the last show, and I announced that I was leaving, and went through all of that and stuff, and we started getting calls, and the phones were, I had no idea how many people I was actually affecting. And one lady called and she said, I can't believe, my name is Nancy, I'm from Bainbridge Island, I can't believe that you're leaving. And I said, well, I explained it to her and stuff. And she said, well, I just want you to know that I'm an Alzheimer's caregiver, and Sally is sitting right here, and you are the only one. We watch you or listen to you every day, and you are the only one that reaches her.
Wow, that's huge, Kevin.
That
That's
made
so
it
huge.
Yeah, that made it so that I had to figure out how to get back. Now the technology's here, I can do this, and I can do it well, and I can have people like you on that can impact the world, and that's what this is all about. So I just want to, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for being here. But before we go, I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to say whatever it is that you'd like my audience to know about you, about life, whatever.
Oh, wow. Okay. You have the ability to turn your life around and make it anything that you want.
Allyson Roberts is her name, and go to AllysonRoberts.com and get all the information about everything that she's got going on. And I want to thank everybody for being on this podcast today. Allyson, if you'll stay right there, I have to do this and then I'll be right back. And just remember, everybody, when it's your last day on this planet, don't have any regrets. Leave it all on the table. Leave it all on the field, I should say, and so that you can leave this life fulfilled, and your destiny is the best that you've made it, and you can impact other people in a positive way. My name is Kevin McDonald, and thank you for listening. And Allyson Roberts is right there, and I'm gonna make her come back onto this program.
I love it.
Before October, so that we can promote it on a serious level. So you stay right there, please. Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other, because each other's all we got. See you next time on My Independence Report.